Hello Universe, SpaceBoot1 here with you once again doing another Minecraft video. I'm not really sure how to categorize this one. I guess it sort of fits into the Spaces Mods category. And if you have watched any of my other Spaces Mods videos, you may have seen some of these items before, but I sort of wanted to talk about like a concept in Minecraft. And as you can maybe see already if you're kind of familiar with Minecraft, is I have some things lined up here on either side according to sort of when you get them in Minecraft. So right here, first of all, you know, is your tree. You punch wood and you make planks out of it. And then from planks you make a bench, and you make well, for some reason a chest appears in this, and that's what I want to talk about, because the chest has this kind of square recipe with a hole in the middle, sort of indicating that you can maybe put something in the middle, and that indeed when you put a chest down into the world you can put items in that space. And then you move along a little bit, you encounter stone and you mine it, and you can make it into cobblestone and that's cool. You can make stone picks out of the cobblestone, which is very cool. And then if you do sort of the same idea with cobblestone with a hole in the middle, you get this, you get a furnace. And it's not, you know, it's not the same as the chest, because we wouldn't want to duplicate what the chest has done. So the furnace, you know, it does a new thing. And this is all basic Minecraft stuff. You already know all this, but I'm sort of just building up to this. The next point is that, you know, sort of if we move up tiers, and this is not perfect, this is why I put these other items sort of on the other wall, just to indicate that, you know, at some point along the way you may acquire wool, and you may build some things out of wool. You may acquire leather, and you may build some things out of leather, and so on and so forth, all these other cool stuff. But sort of along this path we encounter iron, and it's a fairly like what is it? It's like a prescribed path that you're supposed to do in Minecraft. You're supposed to go from wood, stone, iron. Gold you can skip, and diamond is sort of the ultimate. And of course there's obsidian, but you can't make tools out of obsidian. So back to iron. I was jumping a little bit ahead. There are two iron. There are two itemers that you can make. Oh, that's what I was going to introduce the term. I call these anything with a circle, or, well, not a circle, a square, I guess. Anything with a square around with maybe an empty hole in the middle or something like that. Basically, I call that an itemer. And in the game, they're classified as tile entities. But there are some things like the piston, which is the piston a tile entity? Actually, I'm not sure if the piston's a tile entity. I think maybe note blocks are tile entities, and I don't consider note blocks itemers per se. But yeah, basically, itemers deal with items. You can click on them, you can put an item in it. In some cases, you can't. Like cauldrons are a special case, and I feel like cauldrons are unfinished in Minecraft. I feel like there should be something more that you can do with them. Oh, by the way, this is a little quirk that I'm still trying to work out. Oops, can I get into there? If you jump into a cauldron, that doesn't normally happen. That's not normally in the game, but this way you can actually place cauldrons in the nether and put yourself out if you catch on fire. It's the only way to get water in the nether. So I made it a little bit actually work that way, just for the heck of it. Okay, so moving on to our first, I think this is our first like sort of change that I'm explicitly describing. I changed the anvil so that it does not require the big iron blocks. I made it simpler. It's just the simple plain old 7 ingots in that eye shape, I guess it is. And then you can access and you can edit. And the thing is with the anvil is it already requires levels, and it already requires, like, you have to put raw materials in here to repair your picks and whatever. So it already costs stuff. So it sort of doesn't make sense to be super expensive. I do enjoy the mechanic of the anvil sort of breaking over time, even though I probably wouldn't have done it that way, but I think it's interesting enough that I'm sort of leaving it that way. Plus it'd be too hard to change, but that's another issue, because like as good as ideas as I think I have, I'm still a very newbie when it comes to actually coding all this stuff. So yes, so there's our first changes. The Anvil itemer is now a little bit different. So then I was thinking, like, for a long time I was thinking, well, there really needs to be something like a gold itemer, because we've got all the other tiers covered, and it's it's not that it has to be, it's not that it's essential, but I was thinking, well, it'd be really cool if I could think of something that gold would be useful in and for. So lo and behold, I was considering the dropper one day, and it just, I don't know, it struck me like lightning from the sky that droppers could be made out of gold, and it would make them sort of, it would make sense, because they're sort of intricate, or somewhat intricate anyways. They might have like moving parts or whatever that we don't actually ever get to see, but you can sort of imagine that these bits are making something special that works together, rather than the old way is it's just made of cobblestone. Like, can you imagine that cobblestone? It makes sense for a furnace, right? And we're already using cobblestone in furnaces. It makes sense for a furnace because all you have to do is contain the item, so no worries there. Whereas with a dispenser, you want to do a little bit more, and that's what obviously the bow does, that a little bit, but you would want, like, I don't know, to shape the opening or something like that, and gold is good for shaping and whatever. The thing is, maybe this would be better as iron, but it works as gold, and it also gives another use for gold. So that's why I went ahead and did it. And then I did a retexture on it. I'm not the best texture artist. I basically just colored it gold, recolored it gold, like the gold block. It's a little bit different from the gold block, but that's basically all I did. And then I was thinking to myself, well, okay, now that I've solved the gold problem, I should tackle diamond itemers, like have a diamond block. And then I realized, of course, there already is a diamond itemer. It just includes obsidian in the recipe, and that's fine too. Obsidian is like, the thing about itemers is once you get to this sort of tier here, it's kind of okay if there's, like, a bow and there's redstone, there's other stuff in the recipe. I don't say it has to be pure. I think it just, as long as it's fairly simple, I think that's kind of fine. Although I am considering taking something out of this and making it like completing the square, and maybe just redstone in the middle or something like that. But anyways, I still haven't worked that out yet. But then my idea for the diamond itemer is to change the recipe so that instead of using the obsidian as a base, just do the whole thing out of diamonds. And that way, frankly, that makes it a lot easier to remember, that it's just sort of a diamond sort of slab or whatever that is, as a door on its side or whatever, rather than having to remember the 4 obsidian pattern in the middle, which is always a pain, and then you have to remember that there's diamonds on the side. See, that's one of the main things I like about, or that I feel like you should get out of the Minecraft recipes, is that they should be fairly simple. So there you go. So just diamonds. And then I'm probably going to, I haven't done this yet, but I'm probably going to change the texture also, so that it's more of a diamond base too. So it's all diamonds. And yeah, that, I don't know, like, you can leave your feedback if you think that's a bad idea. And then of course you think, well, it'd be cool if, like, because that is taking a use away from obsidian, so it'd be cool if obsidian had something else to be used in. Of course obsidian does. Obsidian can be used to make ender chests. So that's the obsidian itemer, as far as I'm concerned. I forgot to put the recipe up there, but that's not important because I didn't actually change anything with it. So moving back here, the hopper was another one that I changed fairly early. Oh, there's interesting. There's cobblestone in. Oh no, cobblestone's in inventory. There's nothing in the hopper. The thing about the hopper was there's already 2 irony things, and the hopper doesn't really need to be made out of iron, to be honest. Well, does it? So instead, we have a brick hopper. And this is sort of like the idea of, because I think when hoppers first came out in the game, Mojang wasn't sure what they should make them out of. I think they had them out of wood, they had them cobblestone for a while, maybe smooth stone. They were like, well, I'm not really sure what to do with it. And they settled on iron because it feels like a sort of industrial type block where it's like, it's moving stuff around. It's like it's got to be sturdy and it's got to be easy to make. So they settled on iron for that. But I thought to myself, well, iron, we don't really need to make it out of iron if we have a couple of other iron things. Plus, let's imagine like other materials that you could make sort of a receiver or a tub out of. And I was thinking, well, why not sort of a ceramic, or why not like that's basically ceramics or that, but why not make it out of bricks? Why not make it like like ceramic basically? Nothing else. No better way to say it than that. So yes, so we have brick, and that gives us another interesting thing to do, and with those. And I'm thinking of also adding bricks to the corner here, but that's not necessary, I don't think. And then one last itemer that I changed. This is the latest change that I actually made. Is that brewing stand? Basically, it's very simple. It's it's the rod. Essentially, it's the body part of the blaze. The blaze is made up of these rods that float around each other, and then when you kill the blaze, like quote unquote kill the blaze, you deactivate the floatiness of its rods, and the rods actually fall, and you can then use them in crafting stuff. So then you stick the rod on top of these three sort of generic base blocks, and then voila, you have a brewing stand. And so I was thinking to myself, well, once again, we have lots that we can already do with cobblestone. We can already make a furnace out of it. We can already make a lot of things out of it. But what's a block that we don't really use? And I thought for a while about maybe smooth stone or sandstone or something like that. Pretty much any block could basically serve as the base for a brewing stand. But it occurred to me that nether bricks don't actually have too many other uses, and nether brick makes sense because the potions are clearly nether themed. Like you make the blaze rod comes from blazes, and the nether wart actually comes from the nether, which you use to brew other potions. And so it's not a stretch to think that the whole brewing apparatus would be sort of invented in the nether, and sort of this is the technology that's used, is the nether brick as a base. And I think it looks kind of nice, and I think it breaks up, because before it's like all these gray block, gray block, gray block, gray block. Well, there's some brick blocks, and this would have been dark block and whatever. And then here, brewing stand. Well, it was just another gray block, but now it's sort of an interesting color. It sort of stands out a little bit. I think it stands out. I think it looks a little interesting and different. And that's all that I have so far. I haven't touched the beacon yet because I haven't really thought of an idea for how to change it. But I do want to. Ooh, look at all that cool stuff you can do. I do want to do something with the beacon also. And notice that the beacon, it's very glass heavy. So I was thinking it might almost be a glass itemer. So I was thinking, well, there might be an idea there. And then of course, once you get into the mindset of what an itemer is, and sort of, it doesn't have to be your box, but it can be anything like this. Anything basically that sort of is made big, like with a lot of materials, and maybe with something in the center, and it deals with items. So, for example, you could almost say that the painting is a kind of itemer, because it puts wool in the center of sticks, and so it's basically what you have for wool itemer. Although the painting is not really, but sort of, I kind of almost think of it as related to them. And then of course there's I think the item frame does count as an itemer because it's something that you can, even though it's not a block, it's something that you can use items on, and it will like put them in there. And it's made a sort of a circle of sticks with leather in the middle, so it's the leather itemer. And then that's all. So then, yeah, once again, once you get in the mindset of like what an itemer is, you can think like, oh well, what if there was a coal block itemer? Like what do you think? What would happen if you did something out of coal? Like what would that be? Or what if there's a flower one or something? You know, like a lot of these ideas don't make sense. Or what if there was a grass one? Like what would grass do? Yeah, a lot of these ideas, they don't make sense, but if you do this enough, you might come up with something that's like interesting and new, and you might think of something else, another way to deal with items, and a way to deal with the game, and a way to interact with the world of Minecraft. And well, there we go. There we have it. So there's basically 3 new textures and 4 new recipes that I've basically, maybe 5 new recipes, and possibly a 4th texture that I've shown you in this. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and some of these will be available for download in my mod pack eventually, and that's all for now. Thanks.